So, discussion, role and possibilities of startups in industry. We will have CEO of already very popular ALINA, mentioned many times here today as a good example. Solvita Kostjukova. Solvita, welcome to the stage. Yeah, and round of applause, yeah. We are finally happy to see you in presence. Yeah, here you go.
I'm also so happy to be present.
Yes, here's the mic.
I'm like a little kid with candies. I haven't been out of the home
Oh,
for
once
several
again.
years.
It's going to be fun.
Okay, I'm a bit nervous, so...
Here's the little bottle with water. You can take it away with you later on. It's from Rīgas Technical University. Then, Director for Finland and Baltics at EIT Digital. Lea, please welcome back. Bence Huba will join us once again online, RIS manager at EIT Urban Mobility. Yeah, sure. Also online, Adam Rottenbacher, Chief Operating Officer at EIT, as a moderator, will join in. And Head of Unit at European Innovation Council, Stephane Ouaki. Ouaki. Please welcome to the stage. Join the ladies, please. And yeah, sure. Adam, before we begin, you've been asking a lot of questions, but you were also listening carefully. So, and there was many cases mentioned about Latvia. Is there anything what Latvia could learn from the best examples in Europe if we talk about role of education, startups, industry? Then the previous discussion we also had on education institutions. So is there anything we could learn, for example, from the best examples of Europe?
Yes, thanks a lot for the question. And the answer is definitely a yes. And this is what one of the objectives of the EIT is. And we have heard several times today the name Regional Innovation Scheme, or RIS, or RIS. And actually, Bence here on the panel is the RIS manager for EIT Urban Mobility. And one of the objectives of this dedicated outreach program is exactly to spread the best practices that the EIT community has learned over the more than 12 years in our existence. So the answer is a definitive yes, and I hope Bence will be able to share some of these good lessons with us. But I think we could start the panel discussion, because I think Solvita is probably the best place also to give a testimonial of how the EIT community has supported her and the company. Because actually ALINA was a nominee in the EIT Awards already 5 years ago, in 2017. And it has actually been great to follow the success ever since. So if we could start maybe the discussion, I'd like to ask the question to Solvita. How did the EIT community support you and ALINA in particular on your journey, and what did you find particularly useful?
So yes, it's my pleasure to talk about this. Yes. So it was very, very long time ago when we had the first support from AIT. It was a booster grant. And so we were very, very like green then, not investable, and so on, so on. And we applied for a booster grant, and we were very like trying to reach AIT. And back then there wasn't such like networks and communities in Latvia about AIT. Nobody knew about AIT. So it was like trying to find information and how to get somewhere support. So we found AIT. And it was like a real research, because there was one other company who had previously supported. So we reached to these company owners and got more information. And so we decided, yes, we are applicable. And yes, so we were very lucky, but also we proved that we we are good enough to have this support. And this booster grant, what it did to us, so we were very green, and after this booster grant, it helped us to become investable. After this booster grant, we got our first angel investment of 250,000 euros, what helped us to become really a company. So thank you for that. So one is that it was grant. It was also consultations, experts, and network from AIT side. So it was AIT raw materials program. So we were included in such I can say, not only community, but even the family of similar companies. So it means that we get to know each other. So we have similar problems. So it means that by communicating and solving those problems, so we exchange it with a lot of information, and also what could be the next steps, etc., etc. So it means that one thing is that it allowed us to develop, to boost, and to become investable. So then the next was yes, we were awarded as nominee in 2017, Innovation Awards. And yes, and also it also was it was then a next level recognition that yes, we have achieved, we have proven that we are innovative company, and also sustainability is there, and this type of recognition and allowed us to become more mature, and that's also to prove to investors, to our customers, that yes, we are you can trust us. We are very not only good enough, but excellent enough, I can say. And also this network, there was other companies, nominees, and we are still communicating in every monthly base about how they're doing, what are the challenges, how they're solving that. And there was more like I say, companies who know more, and so I can learn from them as well. And what I can say, and when we develop it as an ALINA company, parallelly also in Latvia, the communities and AIT representatives, those networks develop it, where very important role is universities, who are homes for those representations. And what I can say that this is so influential, and also in terms, because I love really the scientific startups, where it's hard science, as what you can say, and it's because this journey is also is very long, very resource intensive, etc. So the AIT is I see as the only logical those supports in different stages, different tier levels of your innovation, that really can help and understand this. If I talk about those very hard science innovations, and yes, so those networks is. And the new startup companies, and also people who are growing through those AIT representation networks and supports, they are building really new society in Latvia. This is what I can really be proud of and be thankful for that. It was too long, I think.
No, absolutely not. Thank you very much for the detailed reply. So if I just try to summarize, so it was both the grant, so the booster grant that you mentioned, that helped you, of course, financially, but then also the community, so the access to similar companies, and also the knowledge within the community and the network. And I understand the recognition with the EIT Awards also gave you visibility that then helped you
helped us because we applied the next step for public grants through European Union LIFE program. And also those recognition and that we are the part of this network helped us beneficially only to get to other funding.
Excellent, thank you. So, well, this was back in 2017 when you were the EIT Awards nominee. A lot of things have changed in the meantime. And one of them is that we have the new kid on the block, as someone said before, the European Innovation Council. And we have Stephane here in the panel. So I would have two questions to start the discussion. So how does the European Innovation Council support startups and how can Latvian entrepreneurs benefit? And the second question would be related to the topic of the panel. What do you do to connect startups with corporates?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You can hear me well? So, yeah, very interesting question. So the European Innovation Council is a program of the European Union to help support actually innovative deep tech companies that are emerging across Europe, so mostly from a scientific underpinning coming from universities and so on. And the way we support startup is mainly through an accelerator that awards a combination of a grant up to 2.5 million and equity up to 15 million for companies that want to be accelerated. And we do that across all sectors and all verticals. So it's a bottom-up exercise. We are not reserving money for particular sectors. And we've been operating under a pilot in the years 18-20 when we spent about 3 billion euros. And we are spending about 1 billion every year now, starting in 2021. So the way we're doing it, and for Latvian companies, this is a great opportunity to look into. I mean, we have a number of companies from Latvia that have benefited from the grants, also from the grant and equity in the pilot phase. And this is something, I mean, my presence here is also, and tomorrow at TechChill is, of course, to try to recruit potential additional good applicants because of the very strong scientific technological base that you have here in this country and more generally in the region, where we believe the companies that are emerging here, the startups that are emerging here, could be very good candidates to apply and be successful. A lot of what we do is in very close coordination with the EIT KICS. As you know, we have of course, we are two arms of the same entity, which is the European Union, and of course, it's quite natural. We are cooperating quite actively, and we, in particular, are trying to ensure that those that are emerging from the KICS have the opportunity to apply for support under the DIC. For example, last year we ran 2 calls, and out of these 2 calls, 46 companies that we selected out of 164 companies were from the EIT KICS, so 28%, which is very, very high. And not only we have that happened, I would say, without any particular preparation for it, but we have put in place for this year, and something that we will continue in the following year, a so-called fast track, that will be based on 120 companies that will be referred to us by 6 KICS, 20 each, to basically skip the first phase of application under the accelerator, which for this startup is, of course, very valuable. Of course, we are looking for those that are the most prepared in order to apply to the IC accelerator, but of course the preparation that the KICS are offering to the companies is, of course, very valuable and put them, I would say, literally in the fast track to access a program like the EIC. So we're looking forward for the result of this cooperation, which is very promising based on the results we had already last year. So I can only encourage you to look at the opportunities that are there as well, in order to see whether they could fit your next stage of your plan. Of course, you don't have to apply for the overall 2.5 million grant and 15 million equity. You can also apply only for the grant part if you're at a early stage development, or for a reduced amount, obviously. So this is, of course, left to the applicant to decide, and we are ready to help in the process to target better the needs and to make sure that we are there to support it.
Thank you very much. I can also confirm confirm from the EIT side the excellent cooperation with the EIC, and I think it's great that we can provide this seamless journey from the EIT kicks to the EIC accelerator for those companies that are already at the scale up stage in need of those big ticket funding. So Lea, I am turning to you in your presentation, which was very interesting, by the way. You mentioned some of the names of the big corporates, the big industry partners, from Ericsson to the others, but you also mentioned that you have diversified a bit your partner community, and now there are more and more SMEs, startups and scale-ups also joining. So how do you make them cooperate, the industry partners, the big corporates, with the up-and-coming companies?
Well, actually, let me take an example. So we have currently the innovation call open, and it is open to everybody. And we have actually a startup from Latvia who's interested in participating in this call. So what I'm doing as we speak, because I just received the email that I will send to my colleagues across the Europe to find partners to this particular startup. So they are looking for customers, and they're looking for other, let's say, tech partners. So what we do is that we scan our full ecosystem to find good partners and do their consortium. Many of the large companies like to join these because it is essentially the new startup is potentially their new customer after the project ends, or it's their a new supply partner, or it's their collaborative partner, or they learn from the supplier about new tech, which is something that they might not learn inside their own company. So there are lots of, let's say, opportunities for larger companies to learn within these projects. But at the same time, it is an opportunity for a startup to join a project that is actually led by a corporate. So the large corporates have spin-off opportunities, and they utilize this. So they have maybe downsizing on one area where they want to lay off people, but instead of laying off, they will spin out a sector, and they will start creating a venture out of it. So this particular team needs other, let's say, like-minded entrepreneurial set people around the startup to create the full setup in Europe. And how our consortiums work, that you need to work from two different distinctive countries. So this particular example would be that they would have a foothold in another country immediately because there's the other team on the other country. So it does create an opportunity rather than a threat or any of that. So I do encourage you to join these consortiums, even if you're a small company, SME-sized company, or even a representative for a large company.
Excellent, thank you. Turning to our fourth panelist, Bence, who has also presented urban mobility before. Could you elaborate on how this works in your field, in the field of mobility, and what is the role of startups in your ecosystem and network?
Yes, thank you very much. The field of mobility is quite special, I would say, because it's not just a regulation, but also the implementation and the development is dominated by public bodies, ministries, cities, and so on. So because of that, I would say that the implementation path is not just having the startups and the industry, but also the cities included. And because of that, we are having also a unique role of industry by us, I would say. And industry means also a bit different, I think, by the other kicks, because it's not pure industry, but we are having also regional planning offices, which are normally not giant companies, and also the large companies are a bit other. So of course we are having the same issues with competition, with readiness to invest, with motivation, and learning how to act lean and quick, and getting inspired, breaking down the silos as in all the other industries. But by us, a large number of the companies are representing cities, being owned by the city, and delivering services for the city, like public transport companies or city-owned innovation agencies, or in other cases, also the big companies are acting for the cities, like large IT companies who are bringing the services of traffic management, for example. So because of that, I would say that in that situation, the industry role is a bit a kind of interface between the city and the startups, because we know that the city world, the public administration world, and the startup world are two completely different words, and it's not easy to understand each other. But the companies can translate, can raise trust, and can also add some flexibility to that. We all know that on the city level, the planning is for decades, and it's not a very flexible process. But of course, the companies can make it more flexible. So I would say that the industry can offer the, startups a lot of things. So coordination of different projects, flexibility, building trust, but also the startups are very interesting for the industry, I think, and it's a good symbiote, because the startups are having very down-to-earth solutions and new ways to understand challenges, and they are very much embedded and connected with special citizen groups, which may be not enough important for the large industry, but they are starting their solution cooperating with these special groups. And of course, they are disruptive, which is not the favorite of all large companies, disrupting the whole business and out of the box thinking. So I think that they can attract each other very well, and they can cooperate very well on that way. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your answer. So maybe an open question to all the panelists as a follow-up. So what do you think, who needs this collaboration more? Is it the industry, the incumbents, or the startups?
If I can be the first, I think maybe we should differentiate by the timeline. Of course, on short term, the startups are much more needing the industry, at least in our case, in which case the industry is more the door opener for you to the cities. But on long term, I think that the industry is needing more the startups, just to be flexible and just to be able to transform and follow the trends, which is not easy by a large company.
I guess it helps them remain competitive on the long run. Any other views or thoughts?
I'd like to continue with the startup part, because it is sort of a lifeline for the startup to be able to test the product in a real environment. So in case the startup can't get a sort of real connection to a startup, or how would this work, and get a connection to people who work at the corporate, maybe telling the real problems in more, let's say, down-to-earth way, then the new innovation doesn't really happen, or it doesn't sort of formulate to the level that it can be a sort of a real business in a sense. So even early stage involvement of corporates in this startup world is essential. So it would be like the best if the corporates would be involved in these kind of, let's say, startup events, and let's say discuss with the new entrepreneurs and find different solutions. Again, maybe yet another, let's say, discussion from this week, that a startup that is really keen on going to the market, but they are looking for a ferry customer. So it's just about any ferry company who could have like a 15-minute to half an hour chat with them, so that they could verify a few of their ideas, and just getting access to these people who know about the sector and who can connect with this startup is something that we can do on behalf of them. But on the other hand, it would be good if there would be some sort of a mechanism how these startups can connect easier with the corporate for valuation of their product.
I like a startup. I would like to say that I agree with that in long term, because I like to think in a long term. Maybe not like from startups like they always develop like very fast, etc. But in long term, long run, like I think the industry needs startups, because this is how innovation happens faster and also with less resources. So this is how I see this.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that was said, in particular last contributions. I would just add one angle, because now, since we are also investing directly into companies, I can tell you we can make a very great deal of difference when, as a company trying to get investors, you have already managed to find one customer, a couple of customers at corporate level, tested your product, as you correctly pointed out, and to be able to have this business relationship that adds considerable credibility to your business plan and how you want to develop. And this is a key selling point when you're trying to to attract investors. So I would say, to reinforce even further what has been said.
Definitely, and I believe this is also where EIT Community can help a lot, connecting startups and scale-ups with potential customers that can be the incumbents, the large corporates. Before giving back the floor to our on-site moderator, I would like to have one last question to Solvita. If there's just one tip, the number one tip that you could give to aspiring entrepreneurs in the audience, that has been a key ingredient to build a successful company, what would be it?
It's to have courage and to be very courage about to speak, to ask for help, because it really boosts company and saves years. If it's because you said I have only one tip, yes, so it's ask for help, because you can ask help from mentors, from community, from AIT networks, and this is how you can find your development way. So yeah.
Thank you very much.
Maybe also from our end at EIT Digital, what I've been trying to say in our info calls and everything is try to connect with us, so that we know where you are in terms of stage. Are you an early stage startup? Are you just thinking about building a startup? Are you already sort of at the phase where you want to accelerate your business or something? So we can find a vehicle how to move your business further. So that is one thing. Connect with the respective EIT community so that you can get the help that you sort of need.
Yeah, let's do it. Right now, that's it. All right, then questions should be coming from the audience, and it's a very simple task. We have two parts of the audience. You just point to someone in your part, and that person will ask the question. Yeah, just point. All right. Then we've been talking about startups and industry. I know that some organizations are always waiting for industry to step forward and say what they need, and spend their time and money helping startups, helping students. And then there's always this one question: who will make that first step? And you mentioned that startups should ask for help, should ask for advice. And but where do you look when how it all started?
When I start something new, so I always look around to somebody who has been there some years ago, who is like already doing something big now, and just ask, can I talk to you? Can you be my mentor? Can I starting like this? And
then it's like, oh, no.
No, it's not like that.
No.
So no, it's always the person, or because it's a person, or for example, it's now already as a startup, it's companies to whom we are connecting and asking, yes, please explain how you did this exit, for example, yes. And there's always this like surprise, oh, so why do you ask me? How can I help you? And there's a lot of questions, and when you really explain your needs and what you want, so in that way I really had in my life such great mentors, and like friend companies who becoming from just like advice givers to your customer even. So yes, it's always a surprise, then you explain, and then it's okay, fine. I have never had in my life that somebody has rejected me in that way. But yes, you need to have a lot of courage, because it's my first such questions, because I was like in PhD student, so I was like have no like such job experience, and I was like connected to entrepreneur who already has huge investments and etc. I was so afraid.
But do you bring in something for your mentor, for example? Are you coming with bare hands and saying, here I am?
I coming with bare hands and say, no, not like bare hands, because I already have achieved something, and always the mentor is from the industry where I am. So, and from mentors, I always ask, do you want something from me? But nobody has asked yet. So it's like, okay, no, I'm like...
Now you're ready to share your experience.
Like they're ready to share experience, and they're really, really keen to see how I will be doing, and so it was very successful that way. So therefore, I'm advising you as well, because if somebody comes to me and asks some help, or so I'm very open, but mostly nobody do that. So.
Well, I guess this is a time for call for action, including you, Adam. What would be the call to action for our audience? Because we are ready to go out there and go and check EIT all kicks, because our tables are ready for our matchmaking and networking still. We've just heard Solvita's call to action. What about you, Alea?
Call to action.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more with the previous speakers. So that definitely is a good one. So learn from the example and seek mentors who can help you. But I don't know. I think one has to think that it's not tomorrow; it's today. So if somebody sort of postpones the idea that, well, I have this dream, and then goes 1 week by, 1 month by, 1 year by, and then suddenly you notice that you're sort of in a different position, and it's not the right time now. So the right time is actually now. So just go ahead and try. I mean, if you don't try, you don't know how it goes. And if it fails, who cares? I mean, that's basically something that you learn, and your measure success is also calculated by measure failure. So go there and fail, and then come back wiser.
What a great call to action! Go there and fail. Thank you, Leah. Mr. Ouaki.
I mean, I can only emphasize how important in the prospects of a startup these networks are, and the contacts that they provide, because by definition you meet people that have been there, have tried, have faced a number of difficulties, obstacles, failures even sometimes, and of course they can then pass that information, that experience to you, which will allow you to grow much more quickly. And I think we see that it's often at the nexus of this type of contacts that the most innovative ideas are emerging and the most successful startups are emerging. So confronting them through those networks is absolutely decisive in making this move from an idea to a company to a successful one. And I think I can only encourage very, very strongly to do it. I mean, from our point of view as the IC, we're not trying to imitate the networks that the EIT has managed to create. We are trying to use them to the benefits of the companies that are coming to us, because we believe that the added value that is being provided is, of course, decisive in many cases in order to provide the necessary support for these companies to grow in the right context.
Thank you. Mr. Huba.
Yes, going back to your question, who should make the first step? I think it's always very dangerous to wait for the industry to make the first step, because they will understand the problem on their way and connect it to their activity. So I think that it leads already you towards a direction. But we are having these innovation communities. We are having a lot of partners with a lot of different experiences and ideas. And because of that, I think it's very important that you make the first step, and you will find your companions in our community. So just call for action, make the first step. Don't be afraid.
And Mr. Rottenbacher, what would be your call to action?
I can only echo that. So my call to action would be connect with us. I think in general in life and also in this respect, success depends to a great extent on the strength of our networks. We have already built a very strong network. You have now heard today that we are already active in 8 thematic fields. A 9th kick is coming very soon in cultural and creative sectors and industries that will start in July. So if you are active in any of these fields, you are a student, you're an entrepreneur, you're just interested, connect with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.